Thank you, Madam Chairman. And I want to thank each of the witnesses for being here today to discuss a critical issue that impacts the desire of all of us to keep the Internet free and open, a marketplace of competition, and an oasis that historically has been beyond the unnecessary reach of government regulators. This is by no means the first time the issue of so-called net neutrality has been raised, and every time it stirs up an interesting debate between government regulation versus, to some, the terrifying freedom of the Internet. I think the American people don't find that freedom all that terrifying at all. The FCC's latest adventure in net neutrality, in my view, would only serve to stifle innovation and would potentially subject the Internet to nanny state regulation from Washington. Internet freedom has produced robust free speech for billions across the world, and a wide open incubator for entrepreneurs to generate jobs and to expand opportunity. Back in May, FCC Commissioner Ajit Pai said this is, quote, "not for us 5 unelected individuals to decide. Instead, it should be resolved by the people's elected representatives, those who choose the direction of government, and those whom the American people can hold accountable for their choice." I couldn't agree more, although in Washington there are a lot of folks in Congress that are fans of pushing difficult decisions off to unelected members of our government to insulate themselves from accountability at the voting booth. And I fully agree with Commissioner Pai that a 5-member government panel should not be dictating how Internet services will be provided to millions of Americans. More than $1.2 trillion has already been invested in broadband infrastructure since 1996. And that has led to an explosion of new content, applications, and Internet accessibility. The FCC shouldn't be endangering future investments by needlessly stifling growth in the online sector, which remains one of the few bright spots in an economy that is otherwise struggling. Net neutrality is a wolf in sheep's clothing. It is a set of government directives disguised, as they always are, as concerns about consumers and competition. That is the justification for nanny state regulations over and over again, whether it is the mayor of New York telling us that our glass of Coke is too big, or the FCC deciding here's how the Internet should be governed. We must keep in mind that when government imposes new regulations, inevitably the cost of them is easily absorbed by the large dominant companies, by the major players. And those who bear the brunt of it, those who are fatally strangled so often by these regulations, are the little guys, or the startups, or the mom and pops. The Internet has grown and flourished in ways we never could have imagined from back in the days when Al Gore invented the Internet. And a big part of the reason has been that Washington has left the Internet alone. Now, that used to be a bipartisan commitment. Back in 1996, President Clinton said, quote, "Governments can have a profound effect on the growth of electronic commerce. By their actions, they can facilitate electronic trade or inhibit it. Government officials should respect the unique nature of the medium and recognize that widespread competition and increased consumer choice should be the defining features of the new digital marketplace." We're seeing this growth in nanny state regulation in many contexts. One is net neutrality and the push to bring Washington into the day-to-day online world. Another is a bill that Congress is considering and that I fear Congress will try to push through in the lame duck session, and that is namely extending an Internet sales tax to millions of moms and pops who are selling their goods online, who are starting small businesses, and who, if Congress has its way, will be forced to collect taxes for 9,600 jurisdictions nationwide. The big guys will be benefited by that. But the little guys, the young people, the Hispanics, the African Americans, the single moms, the people just filled with hopes and dreams, wanting the American dream, will find their lives made harder if we begin taxing the internet, if we begin regulating the internet. Instead, I believe we should protect the freedom of the internet. And that should be something that brings us together across partisan lines, across the country. Keep the internet free. That protects our speech, it protects our economy, and most importantly, it protects opportunity for those who are struggling and want a better life. Thank you, Madam Chairman.